Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured, why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say, I'm watching so-and-so show. And then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it. And that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 3 of Apple TV's Sugar, entitled Shibuya Crossing. And the episode title here is based on an intersection that Sugar references in this episode. He says 3,000 people cross through this intersection every 2 hours, and he would sit in a coffee shop and just watch this flow of people. For starters, as an introvert who loves people watching, that sounds like the pinnacle of people watching. Like that's the main event of people watching. The Super Bowl of people watching is at Shibuya Crossing. Additionally, though, observation is a big theme in this episode and in that scene. Sugar talks about watching these people for hours on end, feeling them. Ruby chides Sugar for his notebook being full of emotional statements rather than objective observations. We see Sugar earlier in the episode putting his observational skills to work when he deduced that those men that were at Teresa's apartment were up to no good based on their vehicles and that they didn't belong, by the expensive nature of their vehicles. Now listen, I haven't fully wrapped my head around what any of that means or what's going on here, but let me tell you guys, I'm totally in. Like, all of the stuff I said last week about this show, I'm continuing to enjoy. Like, I love the noir vibes. I love the mysteriousness of Sugar and whatever the fuck is going on with him and Ruby. I love the music. I'm intrigued and drawn in by the central mystery surrounding Olivia. The show is just working for me on many levels. Now, I want to move on to talking about what happened, what we learned, and what we may be able to deduce. And I kind of like having this structure for these mystery shows because it helps me organize my thoughts better. And it gives the videos, I think, a little bit more structure, so you guys can kind of expect me to maintain that kind of structure throughout the season or throughout my coverage going forward. I want to start with the opening scene, just because I thought it was a really great scene, like just a simple, like adrenaline pumping, intense scene that doesn't really do anything special, but it does everything right. So if you'll recall last week, a group of henchmen that are friends with the body found in the trunk of Olivia's car, they paid a visit to a young woman named Teresa Vasquez. She is the sister of Carmen Vasquez. And these people who paid Teresa a visit were looking for Melanie. They had a picture of Melanie, and that was how the episode ended. This episode opens with Teresa calling Melanie and essentially tricking her into coming to her house where these guys were waiting for her. We later learned that the leader of this group is a guy named Stallings. So Stallings wants to know where his pal Clifford is. We, the audience, know that Clifford is dead in Olivia's trunk, or Sugar got rid of that body, right? Anyway, or he came back and it was gone. I forgot about that. That's of note. Anyway, but Melanie and Teresa are claiming to know nothing about this. Meanwhile, Sugar's friend Charlie has been secretly following Melanie, so they're both outside of Teresa's place at this moment. This is your standard hero arrives just in the nick of time kind of scene. It even has your that obstacle that always pops up that makes it seem like the hero just might not get there in time. But in this case, it's whatever's going on with Sugar's hand. But what made this scene so good, I think, is the freshness that the Sugar character brought to it, combined with Colin Farrell's performance. Like, I loved how he quickly deduced that something was up, again, based on the expensive vehicles outside. I love the tension of his hand fucking up at the worst time, which is a pretty standard trope, but it worked well in the moment, intercut with, like, the blender shots to kind of, like, build that tension, right? I loved his I'm her PO performance once he got inside, as well as this like, very slight look of concern buried deep down when Stallings didn't buy it. Like, it was kind of like a, oh shit, what am I going to do now face? And you could tell he was ready to move to the next thing, but, like, I saw that in the performance, and I thought that was cool. And I like the idea of that, like, smoke bomb being underneath one of the cars, making them think that one of them was fucking up, and how that creative thinking allowed them to escape. So it was just a really fucking effective scene, man. Simple, but really fucking effective. They also cut in scenes with from a black and white movie that are similarly framed to the shots of Sugar trying to enter this building in this apartment. It's definitely kind of played up like this is how Sugar sees himself, and that felt like more evidence for my theory from last week. But moving on, because I'm not going to talk about my theory from last week. Moving on, we also get a bit of insight into the final moments before Olivia's disappearance. We learn this week that Carmen, again, Teresa's sister, Teresa is the girl who's about to get her hand put in the blender. Carmen and Olivia became friends when they met at a women's shelter that Olivia and Melanie volunteer at. One day, Olivia calls Melanie from Carmen's apartment. And we see Carmen there dead, as well as Clifford. Again, the guy who was in Olivia's trunk, and the guy that Stallings is looking for. Olivia tells a story that amounts to arriving there to find Carmen dead, and I believe finding Clifford there with a body bag preparing to dispose of her, so she then smoked him too. Melody's there to help cover it up, and that's the last we see of Olivia, and that's how the body ended up in her trunk, supposedly. What we don't know is how Carmen ended up dead, why she was wanted dead, if Olivia was even telling Melanie the truth about what happened, like, because she didn't seem very reliable to me in that moment. And then, even if we don't even know if Melanie, in telling this story to Sugar, is telling the truth about what Olivia told her or about what took place, especially given that her and Olivia's dad seem to be real buddy-buddy at the very end of the episode. So yeah, like I said, like, basic stuff, but done really, really well. A very good balance of giving us just enough to want more, not too much to give it away, but also feeling like I don't feel like I'm not getting enough either. So, like, it's just executing really well. Another plot point that gets a lot of attention this week is Davy's search for information on Sugar. Now, again, we're all new to the season. You guys are probably like, who the fuck are all these people? That's why I'm telling you who these people are. So Davy, he's the half brother of Olivia, and he's the son of Bernie. Bernie is the father of both Davy and Olivia. Bernie's the guy Sugar went to talk to him in one of the first two episodes. We see him again in this one. He's with Melanie at the end of the episode. Furthermore, we meet Davy's mother in this episode, played by Anna Gunn of Breaking Bad fame. She makes it clear she's not Olivia's mother, and then that also made me wonder, who is Olivia's birth mother, and why has no one mentioned her yet? That seems like that's going to be kind of important too. But like I said last week, Davy has some possible pending sexual assault charges, so Bernie's keeping him busy by having him find info on John Sugar. I need to pick a name. I'm going to call him Sugar. His friend Kenny fucks this NSA agent to get information on John. But somehow, like, Ruby gets like push notifications if anybody Googles John. So she found out that somebody was searching into John, and then she searched into them. Davy gets some more interesting info, learning from the symbol on the invitation to that party that Sugar got at the end of the last episode or in a previous episode. He learns that Sugar's part of a group of polyglots, which is people who learn many languages, mostly just for the fun of it. But he's heard that this is a front for a group of like retired spies from all over the world who used to be enemies, but have now teamed up to do good in the world. And I'm just like, this sounds like a really shitty Marvel movie. Like, I really hope that's not what this is. But Davy and Kenny then set off for Flagstaff, Arizona, where they believe Sugar's mother to be, where I am almost certain that she is not, if she's even alive or exists. Well, I mean, she existed at some point, but I'm pretty certain that whatever information about Sugar's mother that they discovered is planted, like it's fake. Now, there's a bit to discuss here, mostly surrounding how I think Davy might be wrong about Sugar, and this group of people, these polyglots, and who they are and what they do. But I can't fully discuss that just yet without discussing the events of the party. So let's talk about what happened at the party first, and then I'm going to get into... I can't even say what I think is going on here because I almost feel self-conscious about about my theory because it's so fucking stupid. But I feel like that shit's on the fucking screen, man. So let me just keep going. Sugar arrives at this party, and there's just a lot for us to observe. There's a lot of people here, for starters, apparently from all over the world, and apparently also do the same work that Sugar does. I also sensed like an unspoken high level of concern for Sugar's well-being. Like people are worried about him, but are intentionally not discussing why, possibly out of concern for his mental state. But at the party, he follows a mysterious woman to a bathroom, but the bathroom ends up being empty, letting us know that that woman wasn't real. Whatever is deteriorating with him is getting worse. The guy, I love that actor that interrupts John as he's about to go into the bathroom. I said I was going to call him Sugar. Interrupts John as he's about to go into the bathroom. I've spaced on this guy's name, but he always plays a piece of shit in everything that he's ever been in, and he's always been great at doing it. So I'm looking forward to see if that guy is going to remain on the show. And also what he's going to do. But John seems very nervous at this party as he watches Ruby kind of have like these one-on-ones with each of the individuals there. She like stands at the foot of the stairs, and then somebody comes up and they go upstairs, and that person comes back later. And when it comes to time for John's one-on-one, like I said at the top, Ruby kind of, she chides him for his notebook being full of mostly like illogical ramblings and emotional statements. She says he's supposed to be making objective observations. John asks her if he's heard from them, and she says no, but that they're depending on us. And John's like, well, I have my one-on-one, so I'm ready to go home and get the fuck out of this party right now. He does an Irish goodbye, very much like I am known to do. But as he's leaving the party, Ruby again tells him to call this Dr. Vickers about his hands. She's been telling him to call this Dr. Vickers throughout these first 3 episodes. But once he's gone, she calls Dr. Vickers, and the conversation is anything but medical. She tells Dr. Vickers, who, for what it's worth, he sounded like Clancy Brown to me, and I would very much love for Clancy Brown to be on this show. But she calls Dr. Vickers, and she tells him that John is on to Stallings. Like, he's unweaving this unravelable web. She says it's only a matter of time before he discovers the rest. Vickers says they need to stop him, and that they need to tell the others, and that they need to tell someone named Miller. Listen, y'all, I don't know if I've ever been this perplexed. Like, I have no earthly clue what the fuck is going on, and I absolutely love it because this show has been of such high quality that I'm confident that I'll be satisfied with where it goes. But there's really only 2 options here, right? One, this is being played straight up, and Ruby is involved in this crime, whatever this is involving Olivia and Clifford, she's involved, and that's why she appears to be covering it up. We see her seemingly delete Stallings' record off of the whole internet. Ruby's abilities are outstanding. And whatever's going on, there's a whole conspiracy with a lot of conspirators, including Dr. Vickers and whoever this Miller person is, and Sugar is meant to be in the dark about it. So, like, that is a possibility. It could be being played straight up, and that's just what it is. Or, number 2, this is being played the complete opposite of straight up, and there's going to be some sort of ridiculously wild explanation for whatever the fuck is going on. And let me tell you guys right now, I'm leaning toward number 2 because I had the single craziest theory I've ever had while watching this episode myself. So much so, I started voice recording. I was high. Which is why I'm just like, man, this theory is so fucking crazy. But I feel like it's on the screen. But I started voice recording myself. I'm like, let me just, instead of sitting here trying to think, let me just talk out loud into this microphone and just wrap my head around everything that's going on during this party. And and let me see if it sounds as stupid out loud as it feels in my head. It's one of those moments where I'm just like, I've become everything that I hate. But guys, I seriously sat in my garage, in my recliner, high as fuck, wondering if these people were aliens. But man, I'm like, it doesn't fit within the show at all, but then it's like, I feel like if that's what's going on, they could pull this off. Like, I can see something where this ends up turning into something else, and then that something else is still equally good, but in a different way. And so, look at all the talk about observations. Don't we constantly hear about aliens wanting to learn from us? And Ruby tells Sugar he's supposed to be writing objective observations. Like, that sounds like research to me. And then John asking Ruby if she's heard from them and her saying that they're depending on us. Like, what if these people, all of them, were sent to Earth to kind of like scout us? And they, them, common pronouns used when trying to refer to an entity where a more accurate descriptor would give away something vital about the individual. All of these things feel like clues. Like, what if these glitches that we see and his hand issues are a result of him starting to remember his true nature? The same thing I said last week about him having multiple personalities that are based off characters from movies. That same evidence can be applied to this. I can't believe I'm saying this alien theory. Like, what if they're here to observe humans, and in order to blend in, Sugar is watching these movies to learn how humans are? And the same thing applies. Like, all the shit that we've seen where I'm just like, oh, he maybe learned that from a character in a movie. Same thing applies, right? Ruby and Vickers' concern over Sugar discovering the truth at the end, like, that is fishy. And then as the episode closes, even Sugar is talking about some big secret that he has. And I mean, this is the wildest thing that I can't even say that I've theorized, because I don't even want to put this necessarily as an official theory, but I'm just sharing with you guys, in all honesty, the shit that entered into my head while I was watching this fucking show. But I can't deny that there's evidence for it on the screen, and that something like that will flip this show entirely on its head. I also concede that while anytime you cite aliens as a twist, that it sounds stupid. But am I tripping and thinking that this show could actually pull this off? Like, any other time, I'd be like, that's dumb. Please don't do that. But I kind of feel like this show could become equally as good and entertaining with a complete and total 180 turn like that. And shit, oh, and then his sister Jen, that I was like, oh, it's spelled D-J-E-N. That's an Asian name. It could also be an alien. It can also be an alien name. I don't know, guys. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I'm fully confident that all questions are going to be answered in a satisfying way. And that's a big vote of confidence for a show that's only aired 3 episodes. But I'm really into everything it's doing right now. I don't care if there's some big dumb twist. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Let me know what theories you guys have. If you have any, let me know how stupid you think my alien theory is. And until next week, peace.